What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another tier list. Today, we're going to be ranking financial mistakes that people make in their 20s. We're going to rank them from S tier of being cooked and all the way down to D tier as you be okay. We have multiple different mistakes that I see a lot of people make. So I thought I'll make a video here highlighting some of the biggest ones. So let's get into it. This one is the plague for a lot of people. For some reason, people do not want to cook. And I'm not just bagging on DoorDash here. This one is more about like convenient spending. So think about like Uber Eats, DoorDash, you're Ubering everywhere, like you're not driving your car. You're hiring someone to come clean your apartment. Whatever it is, it's more about convenient spending. In my opinion, this is a pretty big trap, but I'll rank it as learning lesson. I just think it's kind of a waste of time for you to like be ordering DoorDash and Uber Eats and think you're the king of the jungle whenever you're making like 15 bucks an hour. Just stop ordering food from these apps or buying some useless service for your apartment or whatever it is that you don't need, and just do a little bit of work. Like just buy an air fryer is really not that hard. And I'll rank it as learning lesson because it's easy to dial this back. Like if you're spending 200 bucks a month on DoorDash, like next month, just don't do it. So it's fairly simple. I just think a lot of people get trapped in this convenient spending. And even as you start making a little bit more money, you start trying to justify these things. In my opinion, is one of the biggest traps that you can make. I just think this is kind of stupid. Just don't do it. This one right here, I see a lot of people make chasing momentum stocks. And if you follow the channel, I'm all about trading stocks and it's a passion of mine. And I think I've done okay at it. But a big thing for me is not chasing FOMO. So if you look at like SanDisk, Micron, all those different companies that have shot up like 1,000% in the last like 12, 18 months, in my opinion, those stocks are just pure momentum and just market sentiment so high for them. I understand they make money, this and that, but people just chase whatever stock is hot right now and they don't even understand it. What happens is they buy some crypto, they buy AMC or GameStop, and then they end up catching a bag. They're literally exit liquidity for these institutional buyers and sellers. And just don't be that guy. Don't listen to that dude on Twitter and panic sell at the bottom. I'm going to rank this as major setback because people put a lot of money into this. Like I've heard of this dude that bought like this cryptocurrency that was a triple leverage one, ended up catching a bag, losing like 30 grand. And that was like a lot of their savings. Like I understand betting on stuff and, having an understanding of the underlying and thinking you can have an upside, like I'm all about it. But chasing momentum is like what you want to avoid. So avoid it at all costs. You can end up catching a bag. This one might be a little controversial, but like people get caught up on putting money into high yield savings accounts. Like I understand you have an emergency fund. I understand you have a car maintenance fund, whatever it is, but you can literally create any fund that you want and end up not investing that money in the market. I feel like a lot of people have like 30, 40% of cash just sitting in a savings account. And I'll rank this as a learning lesson because you're doing the right thing of saving money. I just think you're not investing that money where you should. I'm not the biggest fan of a high yield savings account, mostly because people start justifying saving money and dumping money into these accounts and they forget to invest. You have a high yield savings account returning you like 3.5%, 4%. Like you're basically keeping up with inflation. Like if you follow the CPI this week, inflation rose to like 4.3%. So if you're getting less than that in your high yield savings, like good luck keeping up with inflation. So in my opinion, you should have an emergency fund. You should save money and put money aside for big things, but don't overdo it. Credit card debt. I think this one's one of the most prominent ones for people in their 20s because they want to keep up with the Joneses. They want to have a nice watch. They want to go dine at nice restaurants and they end up getting on credit card debt. And I'll rank it as cooked because, dude, if you're in credit card debt and you're like 23, 24, 25 years old and it's like out of control, like you have tens of thousands of dollars, like, dude, you're cooked. Like you're paying like 20, 30% interest on these things. Like just avoid this at all costs. Like it's always recoverable. I'm not saying you're going to be done for forever. I'm just being dramatic here because this is a YouTube video. But the whole point is avoid this at all costs because, dude, you don't want to be paying 30% on the balance that you owe at Chase. Like that's just ridiculous. You should only spend money that you have and you should treat your credit card as a debit card. So if you go and dine out and let's say you only have 60 bucks in your account, you're only spending 60 bucks or even less. Like, don't go and spend $100 for a dinner of money that you don't have. So in my opinion, this is one of the biggest traps that people make in their 20s. So don't make it. Be smart with the credit cards. If you actually use them the correct way, you can actually make a lot of money. I've made like over $10,000 just farming credit card points. And that's mainly because I learned how the system worked and not the other way around. I didn't let the system work me. That's just something for you to look out for. Do not get in credit card debt. This one might be a little controversial again, getting a bad college degree. And I'll rank it as costly mistake because if you have a college degree, a lot of times you will get a lot of doors open for you. The thing is, like, if you just have a bad college degree that you're not going to use. And I went to college myself too, and I didn't know what to do, but I just picked business. And then later on, I switched to economics because those classes were more interesting to me. So just be very intentional with the college degree that you pick, and don't just pick like an arts major just because you love painting. And I ranked it as costly mistake because you can always learn new skills outside of college. Like, this is not the last end all be all place where you learn new things. So that's just what I buy now, pay later. This one is growing fast in the US, especially amongst young people like myself. They have this false sense of confidence that they're going to be able to afford the payments. But if you're doing Affirm or Klarna or any buy now, pay later, you probably don't have a good understanding of your finances. And then you end up having to pay 30 to 40% interest whenever you miss a payment. I'll rank this as major setback, if not cooked, because dude, who wants to pay 40% on the payment that you missed? And you honestly should not be financing anything in there. Like, the only thing you should be financing is a house. If you just don't have the money to buy this thing today, don't even think about putting it on Klarna or Affirm because you think you're going to be able to make it next month. So in my opinion, this is a pretty major setback, especially if this thing gets out of control. So just avoid this at all costs. I know it's very tempting and it can lure you with the whole like 0% interest, stuff like that. But you have to be very, very disciplined to be able to run this. So in my opinion, this can be a major setback for you, especially if you miss a payment and you're paying 40% on that money. Financing a nice car. Like, don't get me wrong, I want a G80 M3 just as much as the next guy. I think these cars are beautiful. I've always loved M3s. And at this point in my life, I'm very fortunate to have the blessings I have. But dude, I'm nowhere close to being able to afford a BMW M3 G80. Just being honest. Like, imagine paying like $1,300 a month for a car. Like, I'll rank this as costly mistake because you can always sell the car, let's say like 6 to 12 months, if you're not able to comfortably afford the payment. But think about you putting money into a car that's depreciating. Even as beautiful as the G80 M3 is, that thing's going to depreciate. Like, it's just a toy at the end of the day. So if you're paying like $1,300 into this car payment with a pretty high interest rate, like, dude, that's not putting you forward. And you do that for a couple of years in your 20s, like, that's all money that you could have invested in the market or started a business. I'm not even about like just buy index funds and wait until you're 65 and then maybe you have $1 million. That's not what I'm trying to say. Like, if you follow my channel, you see like I'm way more aggressive than this. And even I don't buy an M3 making decent money these days. So I think this is a financial trap that a lot of people make, and I'll rank it as costly mistakes just because you can get out of the loan pretty quick. And I think you should delay those gratifications as well. Let's say your dream car is a Porsche 911 and then you end up settling with an M3 and you're like, fine, I'll just settle with the G80 instead of buying a Turbo S or a GT3 RS. Like, I get it. Like, M3s are awesome, but like, dude, if you save your money, you invest, you start a business, you do whatever it is with the money instead, like, you're going to be in a way better position 5-10 years from now where you can buy that 3RS you've always wanted instead of just settling now for the M3. So this is what I have to say. Like, save your money, invest, open that business, be risky with your money, and take calculated risk with your money. 5-10 years from now, future you is going to be really happy you did that. So don't fall into that trap. It's very tempting, especially as you start making a little bit more money, but just don't do it. And this one's big, like taking advice from broke people. As you can see, that guy right here, he's got no money in his pockets. I'll rank this costly mistake. Like, everybody has a friend that has an uncle that invested in stocks and lost all their money. So they're like, yeah, no, I don't invest in stocks because my uncle lost all of his money back in 2008. And it's just not what I do. I don't believe in the stock market. I think it's rigged. Or it's like, I don't buy any houses because interest rates are too high. Like, I'll never buy a house. I'll always rent. It's kind of like you go to the gym and you look at a dude who's out of shape and you're like, dude, how do I bench? And the dude who's out of shape is like explaining stuff to you and you're taking his advice as face value. Like, dude, that does not make sense. In the game of investing, it's the same way. You're taking advice from people that have never done it. They don't have any money. Like, why would you do that? I feel like a lot of people take advice from broke people and let that advice kind of linger in their mind, especially as you start off. So I think it's a costly mistake because it can kind of lead you to different avenues that you shouldn't. Always do your due diligence, and this is not financial advice, but seek the right information and don't just take advice from people that have never done it. Thinking you have all the time in the world and not investing into your Roth IRA, into 401k, and other investment accounts. I'll set this as a major setback because a lot of compounding comes from your 20s and even younger if you're able to invest. So this is a major setback because if you don't start being aggressive with these accounts, a lot of that money later on in life at like 55, 60, 65 is going to be very, very low. Because if you wait to start saving until like you're 30 or you think until you're ready to save for retirement, dude, that ship has sailed. You've missed some of the best times for you to invest. And compound interest needs time to work. So the sooner that you start, the more money you're going to have later on. So start investing with as little as you can, like 50 bucks, 100 bucks, 200 bucks, whatever it is. Start putting it into a Roth IRA. This is not financial advice, but I do think the Roth IRA is a great account for you to start. So invest right now. Even if you're not making much money, like this thing will pay dividends in the long run. Like if you just go to a compound interest calculator and just do the calculations of investing whenever you start at 33 and at 23, 10-year difference in a lot of people's lives, that's not much time. But if you think of investment wise, like, dude, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of compound interest that you're going to miss. So just invest as much as you can, preferably. But if you don't have much money right now, just start. Honestly, even if it's like 50, 100 bucks. So this is my financial traps to avoid in your 20s. If you're still watching this, don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate you being here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys soon.